Hello, and welcome to everyone listening in to the meditation, and thank you all for participating. Before we begin, we'd like to remind you that what is being presented is based on logical reasoning, and an extensive use of the notions of cause and effect as the fundamental law that governs all produced things. This is being said to ensure that you use your own critical and logical thinking, and to be aware of any irrational thought that might object, and to try thinking about it before discarding the idea. Therefore, the teaching will try to follow logical reasoning. So if something is not clear, please feel free to send your thoughts and questions to guide@personalmeditationguide.com. Like at every class, we will start with a breathing meditation, which serves to calm the mind, release any tensions and stresses, and to clear the mind, which in turn will help with the second part, which will be a contemplation meditation, where we think and analyze a particular topic, and then ending with a placement meditation in relation to the topic. So in this meditation, we will explore happiness and suffering, what they are, and what are their causes. So please take a comfortable meditation posture in which you can be both relaxed and alert. Make sure that your back is straight, but not tense. Place your hands in your lap and partially close your eyes. Now just take a few moments to let all your thoughts dissolve and all the tensions in your body dissolve to come to a more comfortable meditation posture. And now, create a positive intention or motivation to use this meditation to clear your mind so that it benefits yourself and all those around you. Now, bring your attention gently and peacefully at the tip of your nostrils, at the sensation of coolness as you inhale and warmth as you exhale. Do not try to control your breathing. Just engage the tactile sensation of the breath at the tip of your nostrils. Let the sensation of the breath pervade your mind and your thoughts, at the exclusion of everything else. And if your mind wanders, then gently and peacefully bring your mind back to the sensation of the breath at the tip of your nostrils. Now, turn your attention inward to the thoughts and other mental activity that occurs within your mind. Just observe the thoughts, feelings, and other mental activity that occur and let them pass by. Do not hold on to any one in particular. Just observe the mental activity. Come to see how your mind is like a sky, and all your thoughts, feelings, and mental activity are like clouds. So just as clouds form and disperse within the sky, come to see how your thoughts, feelings, and other mental activity appear and dissolve within your mind. And just as when all the clouds disperse in the sky to reveal the beautiful blue sky behind it, which is vast and unobstructed, let all your thoughts, feelings, and mental activity dissolve to reveal the clarity of your mind, which is vast and unobstructed. And once you see the clarity of your mind, just as a clear blue sky, meditate on that experience and enjoy the peace of mind that it evokes. If any other thoughts appear, just let them dissolve back into the clarity of your mind, to come back to that unobstructed and clear mind, and enjoy once again the peace of mind that it evokes. And now, before rising from meditation, make a determination to maintain this clarity and this peace of mind, so that it influences everything you think, say, and do. And now you can gently rise from meditation. So, what we will be discussing in this session is happiness and suffering. Although when we say happiness or suffering, it evokes some understanding in our mind. But do we ever stop to analyze and observe what exactly they are and what can cause them? What they are is quite simple and straightforward. They are feelings, basically emotional states, or in other words, states of mind. And more importantly, they are reactions, which the latter is, in other words, means effects. Happiness is associated to a positive state of mind, an uplifting one, and suffering is associated to a negative state of mind, a downward one. And they are a spectrum from very positive to neutral to very negative. Now, since they are effects, it implies that they have causes. And if they have causes, and they are states of minds, then we should be able to find them just through observing our own states of mind. So what are the substantial causes, as opposed to the circumstantial ones? Because a substantial cause is the thing that changes into the effect. For example, the seed of an apple tree changes into an apple tree. And the earth, the sunlight, and the water are circumstantial causes or conditions. This is an important distinction because without the seed, the potential for the effect does not even exist. But if you have the seed, then the probability for the effect to arise is no longer zero, and it is just a matter of assembling the right conditions. So in the case of feelings, what is the substantial cause, or the seed? It is a state of mind. Basically, a state of mind changes into another state of mind. This implies that happiness and suffering are caused by prior states of mind, meaning that it is a particular state of mind that is the seed of either happiness or suffering, and that everything else are circumstantial causes or conditions. This is quite a big statement, because it implies that the seed of all our happiness and suffering are within our own mind, and not in external circumstances or conditions. We will illustrate this with an example, but before, another important distinction to be made is that particular states of mind cause other particular states of minds, and not just any. There is a strong relationship between a cause and its effect, meaning a particular cause gives rise to a particular effect, such as the seed of an apple tree can only give rise to an apple tree, and not an orange tree, for instance. So to illustrate this, let's take watching TV. You might be thinking, watching TV makes me feel better. Okay, so you start watching one episode. Maybe you do feel better. So you watch a second, and a third, and a fourth, and so on. Now imagine, really feel like you just keep going. When you could start to feel that if you watch another episode, you will feel like you will go nuts. If so, then how is it possible for the same cause to have as an effect an opposing feeling? One starting positive, and after a while, negative. This would be like saying that if we put water in the freezer, that after a certain number of times, we would get boiling water instead of ice. But what we can really observe is that assembling the same causes and conditions always gives rise to the same effect. Meaning that if we put water in the freezer, we always get ice. We don't get its opposing effect, such as boiling water. Therefore, our feelings do not work any differently, since they follow the same rules of cause and effect. The analysis and example show us that the seeds of happiness and suffering are really states of mind, and not external things, such as watching TV, smoking, drinking, drugs, having sex, eating, exercise, family, friends, reputation, health, work, vacation, and the list goes on, as these are only conditions. So the question is, what are the seeds of happiness and suffering? So let's take a few moments to observe and recall past states of minds that then changed into either happiness or suffering. To help in that search, as we might associate happiness and suffering to extremes of the spectrum, so let's just say positive, even just a slight positive, like a little smirk or a smile, or a negative, even just a slight negative, like a sigh or an irritation. If we start observing and analyzing our states of mind, we will start seeing patterns. For instance, if we see hatred, anger, jealousy, envy, miserliness, and discouragement, amongst others, which are obvious ones, and that if we maintain these states of minds, they will give rise to suffering, a negative feeling, regardless of the external condition or circumstance. A bit more subtle is the state of mind of rejection, meaning not accepting what has occurred, basically maintaining the belief that only if external circumstances would be other than what they are, can you be happy. For instance, how many of us maybe wake up in the morning with a sense of dread, maybe a feeling of, oh no, I have to go to work. And basically during the week, we have a hard time waking up. But yet on the weekend, we're okay to get up and we actually wake up early, nice and fresh, because there is no work. Now if we would change our mind, the way we relate to our work, and just accept that we must work, for instance, then getting up in the morning wouldn't be so bad. And therefore it's not the external circumstance that dictates how we feel, but it's how we relate to it. So if we were to reject everything, then automatically it would give rise to suffering. Whereas if we would accept it, we would feel more peaceful. So this is the important implication with regards to our states of minds, meaning that it is the way we relate to external circumstances and conditions that will dictate what feelings arise subsequently, such as suffering or happiness. Now, another interesting pattern of finding the ones that produce suffering is that if you negate them, they produce a positive state of mind. For instance, if we negate hatred, which is the wish to hurt others, we get the wish to free others from suffering, which is compassion, or love, which is the wish for others to be happy. Now, if we negate anger, which is really a state of mind of rejection, of really not wanting something. So why is this happening to me? Or why did this happen to me? And this is not fair, and this is unjust. Then we have acceptance and patience. And acceptance here is accepting what has occurred, not what is to come. And this we'll be discussing it in a future session, more in detail. Then if we negate jealousy or envy, which is not wanting others to have good fortune, then it would be to rejoice in others' good fortune. If we negate miserliness or greed, we get generosity. And if we negate discouragement, then we have courage. Now we could see that if we maintain these states of mind, and if we relate to things either compassionately, lovingly, acceptingly, by rejoicing in other people's good fortune, by being generous, and by being courageous, we could actually observe that if we maintain these states of mind, and if we stay in these states of minds, that we will feel good about ourselves. We will give rise to peace of mind and happiness. Another common pattern with regards to work would be to believe that our bosses or our colleagues create stress. Once again, if stress was coming from the external circumstance, then everybody in relation to that circumstance would be feeling stress as well, because it would be the cause of stress. So you could see that if your boss gives you a deadline, it might stress you out. Yet someone who's not working with you, who is working at another company, would not feel stressed by that same circumstance. Therefore, it goes to show that the external circumstance is not enough to create stress. The key takeaway point here is that it was the way we related to it. Whereas someone else, maybe even a colleague of yours, who doesn't handle deadlines or your boss the same way, would not feel stressed at all and would be actually peaceful and would be able to function and continue his work without that negative state of mind. Therefore, again, it goes to show that the external circumstance is not a cause of that feeling, because otherwise it would mean that it would systematically affect everyone in the same way. Whereas if we look at our feelings, we can see that it will systematically give rise to the same effect, meaning every time you reject, let's say, your boss's demands or the deadline, you will unequivocally feel stress every single time. So therefore it follows the rules of cause and effect, meaning that if I repeat the cause, I get the same effect. So if I repeat the state of mind of rejection, not wanting that deadline or that circumstance to occur, then I would feel suffering every single time. Whereas if I change that state of mind to accept the present circumstance, then every single time I will feel at peace and have the space to be happy. And therefore come to again to see the implications of cause and effect with regards to our feelings and our states of minds. It is sometimes easier to see the causes of negative states of minds, meaning anger, irritation, stress. Those that can be more subtle to identify are those that give rise to a sense of well-being, such as the example that we gave with regards to watching TV. And therefore, we don't seem to want to really attack that problem, meaning try to analyze that problem to see if external circumstances are the cause of my happiness. And like the TV example, is that if we were to continue it, then we would see that it would change. We would either get fed up of it, we would feel indifferent with regards to it, showing once again that external circumstances are not the true causation of well-being and happiness. Therefore, we can see that at one point it will fail to produce the desired effect. Usually lend themselves to addiction because we have a strong belief that they are the cause of happiness. And this is already, we could see that if we dive into this belief that external circumstances are the cause of our happiness, it lends itself or it leads to addiction. Because if we don't have that external circumstance, then we don't feel as good. So that's another indication that external circumstances are not the cause of happiness. And that actually they cause us to suffer if we believe them to be. Because if we do not have these external circumstances, then we don't feel as good. And therefore, it's almost like, therefore we need a fix. We need to always regain this external circumstance to feel well. Now, if you look at it from a life perspective, and we take the amount of energy being placed trying to get these external circumstances versus the amount of time that we're placed not having these external circumstances, then we could maybe see that most of our life is being spent trying to achieve these external circumstances as opposed to having them. So therefore, if we look at it from a mathematical perspective, the majority of time spent is not in well-being, whereas people want to just feel happy all the time. So if we were to ask the question, do you want to feel happy all the time or just some of the time? Of course, everyone would choose to feel happy all the time. Yet, if we keep the belief that external circumstances are the cause of our happiness, then we are doomed to pass our time not in a state of peace. Whereas if we shift our mind to see that the cause of happiness is within our own mind to begin with, then it is possible to be happy at the present moment and all the time. Because the source of happiness is already within us, as opposed to outside of us. Now, it's important to understand that this is not saying that external circumstances cannot be beneficial. Just like earth, water, and sunlight are beneficial for the seed to grow. Yet what this implies is that when things are good, of course you can rejoice because the circumstances are beneficial for happiness to rise at its full extent. But this also implies that in difficult circumstances, you will not give in to the negativity and not fall under the bar. You could at least remain neutral and be positive or find the best in how to move along in your life with courage and patience and acceptance. So therefore, it balances us out a bit more without making us fall into these negative states of minds that become very difficult for us to get out of, and it helps create an environment for those around us to rise above adversity. So this brings us to the ending meditation. First, take a few moments to regather comfortable meditation posture. Just take a few deep breaths, just like at the beginning of this session. And now contemplate the following, including the implications in your life. Try to use personal examples, things that have happened to you in the past, your past states of minds, to make it as personal as possible, to see if you can observe them in your own experiences. So contemplate the following. Happiness and suffering are states of mind. Therefore, their causes can only be because of prior states of mind, and not external circumstances. Repeat that statement and contemplate the implications of that statement. You can use personal examples like the one mentioned before regarding watching TV, or replace TV with any other object. Or you can use a moment in which you rejected something, and the following moment was a negative state of mind, meaning suffering. Once you get a feeling of the implications that happiness and suffering are states of minds, therefore their causes can only be due to prior states of minds, and not external circumstances, that is the object of meditation. The feeling or state of mind it evokes. And if your mind wanders, just recall the statement and its implications, regain that feeling, and try to stay in that experience for as long as possible. And now, in preparation to rising from meditation, make a determination to keep contemplating these reasonings and to remember them and to see their implications in your daily life. And now, before rising completely from meditation, just imagine your loved ones before you. And if you can, each and every living being. And imagine that you give them all this wisdom and positive energy. Continue imagining that they realize this wisdom so that they can be happy as well. And rejoice in seeing them realize this wisdom. Now, at your own pace, you can gently rise from meditation. Thank you.